There's an electronics part shortage happening right now, and it's impacting every aspect of electronics design and manufacturing. Industries such as automotive are losing billions of dollars due to unfulfilled orders, and customers are unable to buy their favorite products. But how does this impact hardware startups? And how can hardware startups design their products to be supply chain resilient? Hi, I'm Roman Kozak, CTO and co-founder of Verity. And in today's episode, I'll be discussing how the electronics part shortage has impacted hardware startups and how we are designing with this in mind. This episode is sponsored by Altium. They're the world's most popular PCB design software, and they also have tools like ActiveBOM to actively monitor your bill of materials and notify you of stock issues, end-of-life issues, and other component issues that you need to know about. Check the link in the description below to try Altium for free. In December of 2020, we completed the next version of our printed circuit board that goes into our main hardware product. And of course, we were diligent in selecting active components with a lot of stock available and long expected production lives. But as our demand grew and we required to do another manufacturing run, we did not expect that many of the components we had originally selected would have lead times as great as 20 weeks or just not be available at all. We found ourselves left with no option but having to redesign our PCB with a different component selection strategy than we had used before. Of course, this meant delays for our customer and increased costs to us. The two main strategies we implemented for all our boards going forward are to design with drop-in replacements in mind, as well as to purchase all components upon component selection and not just in time for manufacturing. I'm not suggesting you hoard components, just purchase as many components as you need for your main production run upon component selection, and then hopefully as you require future production runs, those components are still available and in stock. The most important thing we did was to use tools like Altium's ActiveBOM to find components which were active and suitable for volume production, meaning that they had a long expected production life. And once we would find these components, we would order enough stock to last us about the next 6 months. And we found out how many components we needed with help from our sales team. That might sound expensive, but components like this do not make up the majority of our product costs. That would be assembly and labor. The cost of running out of components would be far greater. When selecting specific components, say a wireless radio module, for example, we would ensure that our firmware could support a variety of different radio modules so that a simple change in the footprint on the PCB would be all that is required if that module went out of stock. With discrete components, it's a lot easier because they often have standard footprints. So if one of those components goes out of stock, we can simply place another one during assembly rather than having to design the PCB again. We monitor all our components and look at that, daily to make sure that those components are in stock. And we do that with Altium's ActiveBOM, which notifies us of stock issues, risks of being end of life, and risks of being obsolete. You can use the IHS Markit integration in Altium to find alternative components that are identical in fit and function. IHS Markit is a global information company that works with part manufacturers and distributors to understand component lead times for specific components and part categories. They share a monthly report highlighting which component categories are seeing increased lead times that month. In one of their most recent reports, they highlighted that component categories such as microcontrollers, oscillators, and programmable memories were all at risk of increased lead times. So it's obvious, choosing the wrong component can be costly, not just in terms of unit price, it can also impact the product delivery schedule and ultimately the success or failure of the product in the market. But it's clear how tools like Altium's ActiveBOM with the IHS Markit integration can be useful tools to select components and also choose drop-in replacements or alternative parts. Component selection arguably plays one of the most important roles in the engineering electronic design process. Thanks so much for watching, and let me know what you think by leaving a comment down below. This episode was only possible thanks to the generous and enthusiastic support of Altium. If you're a beginner looking to design your first printed circuit board, or an engineering student, or a professional using a different CAD package, Altium makes it simple not only to learn, but also to switch to. They're the most popular printed circuit board design solution used throughout industry as well as academia. And if you haven't used Altium Designer in a couple years, come back and check out their new redesign, as well as integrations into SolidWorks and their new online collaboration tool called Altium 360. And of course, we just talked about all of their awesome features to help you manage your electronics component in your PCB design process, making sure that you never run into an issue where you're unaware of a component kind of going out of stock or entering a state where it's not suitable for volume production. Thanks again to Altium, and thank you for watching.